Today, I want to demonstrate to you how to use our analytics capabilities in order to identify if a new feature in your application is increasing the performance or it's degrading. So we want to know basically what is the comparison between two different versions of our application. In order to do this, we will create a data collector and identify a specific parameter inside our code that will tell us which is the feature enabled on this particular version of the application. There are many ways to do this. We could create a collector in order to check, for example, if a parameter of an attribute of a function is a feature flag on or off, but in this case we will use just the return value of a specific function that we know it will return feature on or feature off, and so we can compare the two versions. Of course, this is just a binary example, and this case could be applied also to multiple variables environments. So in the analytics section, configuration, we can select the application that we want to use, and we want to create a manual data collector. So I've already created one. It's a feature flag collector, and let's explore this. So this is just the name. We are saying that this is applied to new business transaction, and it's enabled to snapshots and also to analytics. And in this case, we are defining the signature. So we are specifying the class name. So every time a method called getDemo feature flag of this class will be invoked, we will check the return value in this case. So we are just checking the return value of that function. We are calling inside AppDynamics this return value feature flag, and we are just saying that this is converted to string. As I said, you could also look into, for example, attributes inside the input of the method, but in this case we are just using the return value. So once we have created our collector, we can leverage this new attribute that we created, so the feature flag, inside our analytics. So if I go on the analytics and I create a search for transaction in my application, I can see in the fields that there is the new value called feature flag. So I just turn it on this to be shown in these columns, and I can already see what is the difference between the two versions. So every transaction now has this attribute enabled, and I can see if there is off or on, and just compare in this list the two different behaviors for the parameters that I need, for example, my response time and so on. Of course, we can create more complex visualization and more sophisticated visualization starting from this data. For example, inside the analytics, I can create already widgets. For example, in this case, this widget is created to visualize the percentage of transaction executed with feature flag on or off. And for example, I'm comparing the response time of the two different versions. Furthermore, I can also include this data plus many other things inside the dashboarding section. So if I go to the dashboard, I have already created this one where there are the widget that I mentioned before, the widget that is representing the difference in response time, so the trend of these two different data of the transaction. So I can see that the feature flag, when the feature flag is off, the response time is in the average, of course, it's a bit higher, and the feature flag on transactions are slower in response time. So this is telling me that my new version of the application is performing actually better. So this is good. I'm actually verifying and validating that the new version is improving in response time. I've also created a widget where this number in average is represented. So this is the delta response time. It's 3.5 seconds faster than the previous version. So this is amazing if we are trying to improve the performance of our application. And also the same thing in terms of errors. So this is the graph of the errors, the trend, and the delta in terms of errors per minute. I hope you find this useful, and see you soon.